Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Village of Cary and the Board of Zoning, Planning, and Appeals, I'd like to hereby call this meeting to order on this Thursday, August the 14th, 2025. The time is 6 p.m. We have a quorum of members, and at this time, I'd like to ask our Director of Community Development, Mr. Brian Simmons, to please call the roll.
Williams.
Present.
Kretschmer.
Here.
Graziano.
Here.
O'Laughlin.
Here.
Drandell. Castetter.
Here.
Corey.
Here. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to rise with us for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thank you, everyone, and welcome. So our first order of business, and then I'm going to get into the application in just a moment. We've been asked by the Damish Farm Property, which is Fiduciary Real Estate Development Company, to consider a motion to request a continuation of the public hearing for the proposed plan unit development from August the 21st, that we previously discussed, to September 11, 2025 at 6 p.m. right here at the Cary Municipal Center. So we would need a motion and a second on that.
I'll make a motion on that.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you very much. Mr. Simmons, would you call the roll?
Williams.
Yes.
Kretschmer.
Yes.
Graziano.
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Castetter.
Yes.
Corey.
Yes. So you have an approval to go back to the petitioner on that one, Mr. Simmons. So thank you.
Got your note as well, so it's fine. Yep.
All right, so now I'm going to call the next case, but before I do that, I'm just going to try to outline how we do our meeting here tonight, so I know it's probably a little bit new for you. So
Order, Mr. Chairman.
Please.
Item 4 on the agenda says approval of minutes.
Yes, indeed, Mr. Graziano. That's why I love my mentor here. So I previously asked.
I don't remember getting a copy of the minutes.
I asked Mr. Simmons in an email or a text if about the very same issue, and he said it's just part of the agenda, and there are no minutes to this package. But I
Okay.
appreciate the question. Great minds. Okay, so for the petition, the way we do this is we're going to ask Mr. Simmons to give us an overview of your application, and then upon conclusions, member of the ZPA may have some questions for Mr. Simmons. Once we conclude that portion, we'll ask you to come forward and provide any additional color or comment to the application that you think is appropriate, and then members of the ZPA may have some questions for yourself. Once we conclude that portion, there are members here from the public that may want to comment on your application. They're welcome to do that. And then those that are in attendance here, please remember to state your name and address for the record. If you're unaware, the proceedings do get recorded so that elected officials and others can go back and see them at a future date and time. Once we close the public portion, members of the ZPA may have questions amongst themselves about the application. We'll take a vote, and then that vote gets delivered back to our elected officials. That's the process. So before I turn it over to Mr. Simmons, any questions from yourselves? No? Okay. So now at this time, I will call Village Case 25 ZPA 07001. The location is 950 Ridgewood Drive. The petitioner and owner is Daniel Reagan and Tim Becker. And the request is variation to reduce side setback for an accessory structure. And over to you, Mr. Simmons.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As mentioned, the request this evening is related to a side yard setback for a pool structure that is being constructed in the subject property at 950 Ridgewood Drive. Little overview of the property is, for the board's knowledge, the property is zoned R2 single-family residential district, which, again, the petitioner is seeking relief for the proposed pool, which is constructed in the rear yard to reduce the interior side yard setback as required from 8 feet to 6 foot 3 inches. The subject property was originally annexed into the village back in 1975, but was developed for the single-family home on the property as in 1990, and there's been no other relief ever granted for the property for any other variances or conditional uses. Per code, there within the Unified Development Ordinance, Section 14.4, there are requirements for the table of structures that are permitted in yards, so accessory structures. Specifically, the regulation for pools, a swimming pool should be set back 8 feet from a lot line and surrounded by a non-climbable fence not less than 5 feet in height. The petitioner this evening did seek permit approval for the construction of a pool this summer. The permit was issued back in June, which the plans that were submitted as part of the permit showed a setback of at least 15 feet from the property line. In July, staff went out to perform an inspection, status inspection on the property, and noted at that time that the pool had in error been constructed within 6 feet, 3 inches of the property line. And the petitioner this evening is seeking relief in the form of the variance to allow the pool to remain in its current location. This slide here shows the conditions as far as that were inspected on the property for where the pool has been installed compared to the existing fence line along the eastern edge of the property. As you can see by this image, the pool was constructed over 8 feet from the existing fence line. However, the fence, as staff investigated the matter, was installed not along the property line. So when the fence was originally installed, there was some landscaping on the subject property. It was along the fence line area or the property line area, and the adjacent homeowner constructed the fence further onto their property, which resulted in a larger setback for the fence from the property line. So when the pool was inspected, staff noted that the property line where it was designated and the pool was constructed was more to the 6-foot setback as opposed to 8 feet from the existing property line. So the petitioner is asking for, in this case, relief to allow the pool to remain in its current location with the 6-foot setback. And then adjacent homeowners notified us that they do intend to relocate the fence to their property line as the landscaping that was originally there is no longer in existence. So they were looking to move the fence back to the location where they are legally allowed to install the fence. Within the Unified Development Ordinance, there are various standards that need to be met for a variance, which are summarized in the slide. And that generally would be reviewed by the zoning board for the consideration of any variances. Specifically, the hardship was caused by the unique circumstances relating to the land and not to the general conditions of the district. The property cannot yield a reasonable return if permitted to be used only under the standards set out in the title. The applicant has not taken any action that has caused the extraordinary condition and made it substantially worse than otherwise might have been. The relief proposed will not alter the character of the locality, and finally, the relief proposed is in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the regulations. As indicated in the staff report, the construction of a pool certainly is a use that is similar to other residential properties within the area. Obviously, other properties have installed pools within their rear yards, and that is not something out of character for a residential subdivision. So staff believes that the proposed pool will not alter the character of the locality and is generally in harmony with the general purpose of the intent of the district. However, in this case, you do have a condition that the relief that's being requested is in following a variance request or following a permit error as far as where the site was constructed. So it would be granted for a proposed condition that was constructed in hindsight of the, as opposed to before the construction being occurred. So in this case, it may be related to specifically to the actions of the property owner for the variance relief being requested. But certainly other conditions as far as the variance standards in this slide would be considered as well for consideration by the ZPA. In this case, should the ZPA determine that the variance standards have been met, it would be recommended that the ZPA recommend approval of a variation to decrease the required interior side yard setback for an accessory structure from 8 feet to 6 feet 3 inches for the property located at 950 Ridgewood Drive, subject to the conditions listed in the staff report and on the slide. As the request here would be over 20% of the applicable code requirement, The specific variation request will be village board final in this matter. I'll be happy to answer any questions the board may have, and the petitioner is here to provide additional testimony as well.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons. So questions for Mr. Simmons?
I've got one.
No, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. When it was originally permitted to put in the pool, was it in a different location than where it was built?
It was still proposed to be in the rear yard, so the packet of plans that were provided.
I guess, was it, did it meet it wasn't like 15 feet off the property line?
Correct. So the plans that were submitted showed a 15-foot setback to the subject property line and 30 feet to the rear yard. And then, as it was installed, it was not to those dimensions.
Anyone else?
Yeah, the fence in question is actually owned by the adjacent property?
Correct. So if you can see on the slide that's on the overhead currently, so the fence line or the property line, if you see my cursor here.
Yeah.
The fence follows the property line until about the midpoint of that property line. And then at that point does set back 2 feet, 3 inches from the property line, and then continues back to the shared point in the rear portion of the property.
Is that a 5-foot fence?
Believe it's a 5-foot fence, yes.
What we require, I think.
Correct, yeah. For a non-climbable fence around the pool is required to be a 5-foot fence, yes. And then as part of the petitioner also performed a separate permit for fence work related to a gap in the fencing for the front portion of the property. So there's a gap from the existing fence to their home that they also constructed a fence to enclose the entire yard.
Other questions? So I'll continue on with Mr. Graciano's line of thinking. I think you said, Mr. Simmons, that the owner of the fence intends to relocate the fence closer to the pool. Is that correct?
They've indicated that to the village, yes.
Okay. And if I was reading the staff report correctly, it says there's not a hardship to this application. Is that correct?
That's from a standpoint of this board to consider if there is a hardship. From that standpoint, that's certainly part of the recommendation. It's difficult to determine a hardship from a standpoint of the construction occurring, the variance, a trailing variance coming in. But certainly there are certain externalities that may come into play that can determine if there's a hardship in this case.
Let me ask the question a different way then. If the pool was relocated to the middle of the property, would it be in compliance?
Yes.
Okay. So in the package, obviously residents are informed, and I know you said at least one resident mentioned that they're talking about relocating the fence. Were any other comments received from the residents?
We received a couple inquiries from residents as far as what the relief was, what the zoning sign was for. We had advised what the request was, and I believe there's a couple residents in attendance here this evening.
Okay, thank you very much. And then, that was it for me. This was another one, and maybe this is for the ZPA members, that if we were to approve this, would we be setting a precedent in something like this?
I think historically, no.
Yeah.
Because historically, we have allowed for variances for pools and sheds. I mean, as well. I mean, historically, we have.
Let's not get into sheds.
Well, but you know what I'm saying, Jim. I mean, historically, we have allowed
Oh, yeah.
a lot of variances for pools and sheds.
But this is for a pool, I think we had something that was impervious.
It was an impervious surface cave.
Yeah, that was it, but
That
not
was
the
a different
pool
one.
itself. I
Not
think that
the
was a
pool
deck,
itself.
if I'm remembering right. Anyway, all right, so before I turn it over to the petitioner, let me see if there's any other questions here amongst the ZPA. All right, so I'm not sure who will speak. You're both welcome to speak. I'll invite either Ms. Reagan or Mr. Becker or both if they want to speak about the application. And please, for the record, state your name and address, please. Thank you very much.
Danielle Regan, it's 950 Ridgewood Drive,
Thank you.
Cary, Illinois.
Thank you and welcome.
Really what happened was it never got, like, it was supposed to be drawn out, and then it was supposed to be, like, the pool company was supposed to have them come out and do that. and then they read the plans wrong. Like, we had them come out like twice, 3 times, and, you know, they were like arguing with us that this was wrong, or that they did it right or whatever, and we're like, no, you know. But originally, we thought that they were explaining it to us that we were giving them an extra foot because we knew that they wanted to move their fence, which they did. It's moved.
Oh, it already is moved? Okay.
Yes. So, I don't know. It just really ended up the contractor kind of.
Well, that's an
Less
important
us.
issue, Mr. Reagan. So I want to be, I think you'll see that this group up here is very open-minded, as I want to be also. Have you given some contemplation of going back to your contractor and saying, you put us in a tough spot here?
Yeah.
And, you know, would relocate the pool solves the problem. But if we take a vote tonight, and it can go one way, it can go the other way, I don't know which way it'll go. But that provides you with some flexibility tonight to say you would potentially want to continue the meeting to talk to the contractor to see if he can move your pool, and then you're,
We have spoken with them. Were not answering my phone calls. They finally stopped by last week, but we had already put in everything to do this, because we just decided, they already told us it was gonna be $2,000 plus to move the pool, and then it was, you know, the liner could rip, and we also have drains on the side. It's a mess to move a foot.
do you
and 9
want to
inches.
continue to explore that discussion, or do you want us to take a vote on your application tonight? That's really.
Oh,
that's-
okay,
yeah.
yes, we would like a vote, please.
Okay. So let me see if there's other questions amongst the ZPA members here.
Just to confirm, Brian, when this process happens, the village has certified people and approved contractors and stuff like that? That's accurate when we go through this process
For a permit?
for permits?
Yes, so any contractor that works in the village has to be licensed through the village.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
So have you considered legal action against the contractors?
No.
It might be something to look into. I deal with this all the time, and if a contractor messes up, it's on them. It's their dime to fix it.
Yeah, we tried calling the Great Escape, they were of no help.
It's Great Escape, okay.
Yeah, because it was the contractor, we had to use them through
Mm-hmm.
there. And they were of no help, and, yeah, like, the contractor is not.
All right, other questions for the petitioner? Okay, thank you, Ms. Reagan. So what we're going to do now, folks, is we're going to open it up to the public for public comment. And again, for those of you that want to speak on this petition, just please, when you come forward, state your name and address for the record. And I should explain this. This part of the discussion, although the committee does work in a quasi-judicial capacity, it's not like you see in a courtroom that you're going to be a back and forth question and answer type of thing. We'll try to keep an open mind, but you're welcome to present any comments that you have, and welcome.
Yeah, thank you. No, good evening. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I'm Chris Niziolek. I'm here with my wife, Dawn Niziolek. We're the owners of 946 Ridgewood Drive, the affected party, if you would, from the pool install. I did organize kind of a, hopefully it's not too lengthy, written explanation from our point of view, but I did want to add some additional color at the end of what I wrote for some of the previous comments that were discussed, just to add additional context, I think, into the situation. But yeah, so we're the owners at 946 Ridgewood Drive. We're here to address the recently installed pool, which is too close to our property line, in violation. And obviously, they're now seeking the variance for the pool to remain in place. And we strongly urge you to please deny this request. Just to begin with, highlighting the added noise that this pool will bring to our yard. Our neighbors are a family of 6 with four children. With the addition of the pool and the pool pump equipment being so close to our property line, we'll no longer be able to have a quiet and peaceful backyard entertainment area, which sits right on the other side of the pool that they installed, like we once did. So increasing the pool's distance away from our yard to follow the city's code would help reduce the noise. And that's been backed by studies. As you continue to set back the pool pump equipment, there's a noticeable decrease in noise volume. Further, the pool's location is problematic. The pictures didn't really show it, but instead of the pool being located closer to the house like it normally is, you can see on the picture, it's in the back, but it's also at the top of a really high hill. So it towers over our entire property. It's about eye level to my second floor office. I work from home, so I get to stare at this every day. And I understand that they're planning to build a deck around this too, which will further, kind of make that situation even worse. We feel that having the minimum of the 8 feet separation will allow for more sufficient, maybe privacy screening or vegetation or plants or something like that in between our fence and then theirs. Yeah, so our backyard was a key selling point for us when we bought the property. As you can see, it backs to Hoffman Park. There's trees. It's pretty. It's nice. It's peaceful. Now this sort of this summer it's kind of taken away from our enjoyment of the yard with what was done. Sorry, I'm a little bit nervous.
Okay. Take your time.
But yeah, no, perhaps most importantly though, their installation process was rushed and it lacked the proper oversight. It was clear that they wanted the pool installed as soon as possible and they avoided the key inspections like at the time of the stakeout. When they had the stakeout done, I believe it was at that time, they knew the pool wouldn't fit because they have utilities that run through the center of the yard and they would have to relocate those. So they, in order to keep those 5 feet away from the utilities, they put it in the only place they could, which was too close to our fence. They didn't have the inspection done when the stakeout was done in the yard. The stakeout did show it being where it is here. So the day of the install, when they had their crew come out, I went out to speak with them before they started digging. So everything was marked out and staked out, and I talked to them. Because the fence hadn't been moved. And Danielle knew about the fence, where it was going to be. She even arranged the fence contractor to come out. And the reason the pool was originally set back was because there was 4 mature blue spruces that were separating the yard. So when I put in the fence, those trunks of the trees were right along the property line. So we boxed them out to give 950, that extra space and not have to take the trees down. But with their pool coming in and they're digging it out, the roots were going to be killed, right? So they were going to kill the trees. The trees would topple on our property. So we said, okay, this is the time. We'll move it. She had the tree company come out. I paid for the trees. It was her company. I paid for it. She had the fence company come out. I paid for it. So for her to not understand what was happening, we were in communication the entire time. So I don't understand how there could be confusion. But anyways, I talked to the contractors and I said, hey, I just want to make sure before you dig, this looks like it's too close. Here's where the property line is. It's not the fence. It's here. And I said, you have to make it to 8 feet. They discussed amongst themselves and they said, we understand what you're saying, but this is where the owner wants it and this is where it's marked out. So they did it anyways. So I followed up and called with the village and said, how is this measured? Because maybe I'm wrong, right? And that's when they came out and they said, no, it is in violation. So, yeah, so, I think we could keep going on, and I'm open to questions. The fence has since been moved. I could show a couple pictures from my angle, but it's not too much different than yours, but you can see how close it is. But we're most concerned about basically the lack of enjoyability of our yard. Like I said, we have an entertainment area feet on the other side of where they had the pool. So that kind of is ruined in our view, like enjoyment of the quietness of Hoffman Park. But we would never bought this house if there was this is a really large pool too. I don't know if you show like
Can you go back to picture,
the size of it, but the neighbor next to them has a small appropriate sized pool. This pool is huge. This pool is huge and it runs the length of our property, right? So we would never buy the house if it had this pool installed the way it is. And I don't expect anybody else to want to buy our house either with this pool installed the way it is. So if you allow this variance, I'm going to have to sell my house at a big loss, when we plan to put it on the market here from where it is today. So, yeah, we're pretty upset by it, as you can probably hear, but, hopefully that adds some color I appreciate you listening to us.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, if there's someone else here that would like to speak on the application? Okay, hearing none. Before I close the application on the public hearing, I do want to say to Ms. Regan, based upon what you've just heard, I said we're an open-minded bunch, and I want to remain open-minded. I'm going to give you one more opportunity before we take the vote to see if you want to potentially engage your contractor to see if they're willing to move your pool.
Or if there's anything else you want to respond to.
If you want to respond to that, you don't have to. Okay, thank you. So I'm going to close the public comment now. And before I call the motion, I want to see if any members of the ZPA have questions amongst themselves about the application.
I do. Just confirming lot coverage, I saw it was 524 was the one for the pool. I didn't see a percentage. Maybe I missed it, but I assume it falls into the correct percentage, or that was okay?
Yeah, it was as part of the building permit, the lot coverage is reviewed at that time, so it did comply with the lot coverage requirements for
Okay,
the zoning
just
district.
regarding the
Yeah.
size of the pool or whatever, as long
Correct.
as it's within the lot coverage
Yeah.
and mirroring, okay.
These parcels in this area are typically larger or deeper than other lots that we have in the village, so the lot coverage for the property with the existing improvements and that depth was compliant with code.
That's what I figured. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, so the chair will entertain a motion to recommend to the Village Board of Trustees approval of a variance to decrease the required interior side setback of an accessory structure from 8 feet to 6 feet 3 inches for the property located at 950 Ridgewood Drive, subject to the conditions listed in the staff report.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Simmons, would you call the roll, please?
Kretschmer,
No.
Graziano,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
No.
Cassiter? Williams?
No.
Corey?
No. So, Ms. Regan, you have a negative recommendation on your request. The next step in the process is that Mr. Simmons can educate you further. I know the next village board meeting is the 19th. I don't know if this will make it on to the 19th.
No, not next week. It would
Yeah.
be, the next meeting would be in September, so I think this is the second.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah,
So September 2nd would be the next village board meeting,
verify that.
but let us double check while we're speaking.
Yes, September 2nd.
September 2nd. And as I mentioned early on in the process, that would be the final stepping stone for yourself on the application. And I would stay in close coordination with Mr. Simmons on that matter, okay? Okay, thank you very much. And before we conclude, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to see if there's anything else that Mr. Simmons wanted to discuss before we seek to adjourn.
No, just as far as the next board meeting date, so originally we had the meeting obviously scheduled for next week for the continuance of the Seasons project. With the vote this evening, that'll be continued to September 11th, so there will be no meeting, another meeting this month. It would be, the next meeting would be September 11th, and that's the only item that we have on the agenda at this time for that meeting.
So I do have a question, just so we're all in alignment. Does anyone have any scheduled conflicts that they're aware of tonight? Okay, Ms. Castetter has one, and I think you've told Mr. Simmons about that. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, and I will double-check with Ms. Trendell, making sure she's available. All right, so if there's nothing else, gentlemen, ladies, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Meeting adjourned.
Somebody got a second or we can't leave.
Meeting is
Yeah, but
adjourned.
you and I tied, so one of those could be this.
So, Brian, am I